that's when I hear what sounds like a voice. And a voice is, of course, coming from the woods.
Look at this freaking place, man. So I put the bag down. We are on grass. Let's open it and see what's in there, right?
After a group of campers shared footage from a trail camera they had placed in Dry Fork Canyon, one of the cameras was placed only a few feet from their tent. At around 3:50 in the morning, while the entire camp was asleep, the camera suddenly activated. The figure that stepped into view appeared strangely human, but something about it didn't feel right. It moved upright near the camera, its shape pale and unfamiliar against the darkness of the trees. The movement was slow and deliberate, almost cautious, as if it knew the camera was there. For a brief moment, it lingered in front of the lens before continuing past the campsite and fading into the shadows of the forest. The campers later said the location sits only about 30 miles from the mysterious Skinwalker Ranch, a place long connected with unexplained sightings. When they reviewed the footage the next day, the quiet night suddenly felt much less peaceful. Whether it was a person, something unknown, or something that simply didn't want to be seen. The camera never recorded it again, but knowing something passed only a few feet from their tent while they slept raises an unsettling thought. If your trail camera caught something like that outside your camp at 3:50 a.m., would you go back there again? Father who was filming a quiet afternoon while playing with his young daughter near a wooded park. Sunlight filtered softly through the trees as the child laughed and moved across the grass. Suddenly, the little girl stopped and pointed toward a cluster of bushes beside the trees, as if she had noticed something there. The father kept recording, assuming she was simply pointing at an animal. But the camera briefly captured something strange in the background. Between the trees and bushes, a pale figure could be seen standing for a moment. It appeared unusually white against the darker forest, almost blending with the light between the branches. The shape moved slowly, slipping between the trees before fading behind the brush. It didn't move like a person walking or an animal running, and it made no sound at all. Curious, the father walked over to the bushes where his daughter had pointed and looked between the trees. But when he checked the area, there was nothing there. No movement, no person, and no sign that anything had been standing there moments before. The forest was quiet again, as if nothing had happened. But after seeing that pale figure in the footage, if you were standing there, would you go looking for it too? A lone camper who had spent the night near an old, forgotten cemetery deep in the countryside. Sometime after midnight, he launched his drone to capture a quiet aerial view of the graveyard, resting under the darkness. The camera glided slowly over rows of weathered tombstones, many of them leaning with age, surrounded by thick trees and heavy silence. For several moments, nothing unusual appeared, only the stillness of a place long left undisturbed. Then, as the drone drifted lower above the graves, something began to move where no one should have been. Between two rows of headstones, a strange shape seemed to form in the darkness. It did not walk like a person or move like an animal. Instead, the figure shifted slowly, thin and pale against the ground, almost as if it were fading in and out of the night air itself. For a few quiet seconds, it glided across the graves, pausing briefly in the open space, as if aware of the camera above. The camper later said the entire area around him was completely silent, with no footsteps, no wind, and no sign of anyone else in the cemetery. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the shape seemed to dissolve back into the darkness between the graves. The drone continued forward, but the camera never captured the figure again. The rest of the recording showed nothing but still tombstones under the dim glow of the drone's light. The camper ended the flight not long after, left wondering what exactly his camera had seen that night, and if something truly was wandering through that graveyard in the silence. Would you want to know who or what it was? Before we go any further, I'd like to ask you for a quick favor. If you are enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We're getting closer to 30,000 subscribers, and once we hit that milestone, a few lucky subscribers will receive a special surprise. Now let's go back to the video. This terrifying video was uploaded on Man Dog Wild's YouTube. In the footage, the YouTuber follows his dog along a strange trail deep in the mountains, not far from the infamous Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. The forest appears quiet at first, but the deeper he walks, the stranger things become. For at one point, hidden beside the trail, he discovers an old stroller with a worn-out doll placed inside it, sitting alone in the middle of the wilderness.
No idea. Wow. That's just scary, huh?
Nearby, more strange markers can be seen, objects arranged in ways that don't seem natural for a remote forest. As the video continues, unsettling moments begin to stack up. During the night near his tent, the camera captures unexplained sounds in the darkness, heavy breathing, branches snapping, and movement just outside the campsite, while the forest remains unseen. Later, a strange dark shape appears high in a tree, sitting silently, as if watching something deeper in the woods. At another point, a distant voice seems to cry out for help from the dense forest, even though no one is visible anywhere around him.
It's quiet for a while, and nightfall comes, we go to have some dinner, and while I'm eating my dinner, that's when I hear what sounds like a voice. And a voice is, of course, is coming from the woods.
Get some pack members that aren't going to just abandon me.
So legit, I'm sure I heard someone say help or help me. I'm pretty sure it's coming from those woods. I haven't seen the eye shine.
The deeper he explores, the stranger the trail becomes. His dog later returns with wide scratches along its side, and he eventually discovers a hidden area scattered with animal skulls and remains gathered in one place. Strange symbols, crosses, and hanging objects appear tied to trees, as if someone, or something, had marked the trail long before he arrived. By the time the recording ends, the forest feels far from empty. And if you were standing in those mountains and heard a voice calling from the darkness, would you go looking for it? Or a woman shared footage she recorded while walking her dogs along a quiet forest trail in the late afternoon. As she moved along the path, She noticed strange stick effigies placed beside the trail branches, carefully arranged into unusual shapes that didn't seem natural. So feeling slightly uneasy, she continued walking while recording the surroundings. The forest looked calm, but the strange structures left her with the feeling that someone or something had been there before.
Oh my actual god.
While her dogs moved ahead on the trail, the woman suddenly noticed movement far off in a dense part of the woods. Behind the thick trees, a tall figure appeared to be standing and watching them from a distance. The shape was unusually large, and some viewers later estimated it could have been close to 7.5 feet tall. The moment it seemed to realize it had been seen, the figure quietly stepped back and slipped behind the trees, disappearing deeper into the forest. The woman stopped walking and kept her distance, choosing not to approach the area. Within seconds, the woods looked still again, as if nothing had been there at all. But if something that large was quietly watching you from the forest, would you keep walking that trail? A hiker shared a terrifying experience in the wilderness while shed hunting with family. Early in the day, they had rescued a young elk calf tangled in a barbed wire fence. After carefully freeing the animal and rolling it to the opposite side, the calf staggered a few steps toward them before running back into the forest. The situation felt tense, but they thought the ordeal had ended there. About 25 minutes later, strange, haunting sounds echoed through the trees, low, mournful cries that seemed to carry the calf's pain. Hours later, as the hiker continued alone on the trail toward his parked van, the eerie noise intensified. The sound of a pack of wolves feeding on the elk calf emerged from the dense forest nearby, only a couple hundred yards away. The pack moved quietly but deliberately, and the chilling reality of being that close to predators hunting a fresh kill made every step toward the van nerve-wracking.
Kimber. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's fucking wolves. I'm not fucking shitting you. There are fucking wolves right here. Oh my god. Right?
The rest of the hike was filled with unease, the sound of the wolves fading only as he reached safety. The forest returned to its quiet, but the memory of the pack feeding so close remained vivid. And after hearing wolves devouring a live animal just yards away, would you keep walking toward that sound or turn back into the dark? A man who had gone camping alone deep in the woods. At first, he planned to explore the forest during the day, believing no one else would be out there. But after returning again later that evening with his camera, the forest felt very different. As he walked slowly between the trees, he mentioned in the recording that something about the place made him feel like he wasn't alone. He began looking around, quietly scanning the forest, as if trying to confirm the feeling. Then, in the distance on a slightly higher patch of ground, the camera captured movement inside a thick cluster of bushes. For a brief moment, a figure seemed to shift and quickly move out of sight, almost as if it had been watching him, and suddenly realized it had been noticed.
The fuck? The fuck? Fuck that.
The movement was silent and fast, disappearing deeper into the trees before the camera could focus clearly. The man immediately grew uneasy and backed away from the area, deciding he had seen enough for one night. In the video, he can be heard saying he regretted coming back into the woods alone. The recording ends shortly after, as he leaves the forest behind him. But after seeing that shape slip away in the bushes, if you were alone out there, would you stay and find out who was watching you? MT Paranormal Life. The team often visits quiet locations at night to document unexplained activity and search for signs of the paranormal. During this investigation, they set up cameras and recording equipment at one of their research sites after dark. The forest around them remained silent as they began asking questions into the night. After a while, faint sounds and subtle movement around the area began to catch their attention. The team believed something unseen might have been reacting to their presence just beyond the reach of their cameras. Although nothing clearly appeared on screen, the atmosphere quickly became unsettling.
Pull over. Yeah, listen, there it is again.
The recording ends without any clear explanation. For the investigators, moments like these are part of their effort to understand what may exist beyond the living world. But if something in the darkness could hear you calling, would you really want it to answer? He began recording as he walked, capturing the quiet wilderness and the fading light of late afternoon. At first, everything seemed peaceful, trees swaying gently and distant bird calls filling the air. But as he continued recording, he suddenly heard a deep, echoing howling. Though he couldn't see them, he realized that many animals were moving together nearby. Fear rose as he noticed he was completely alone on the mountain. The calls echoed all around, filling the slopes with an unsettling presence.
Oh, heck no. Look at this beautiful view. Oh, heck no.
The sounds were overwhelming, yet the source remained hidden somewhere in the forest. Alone in the mountain wilderness, he felt the weight of the forest pressing in as the howls continued. He slowly tried to back away towards safety, every step tense and careful. And hearing so many unseen voices around him while being completely alone. Would you dare to stay? Or would you run? While exploring near a dense patch of trees, he noticed something unusual beside a thick bush. At first, it was only a shadow, but then he realized it was a dark figure with two glowing eyes staring from the darkness. The camper froze, the forest silent except for the faint rustle of leaves around him. The shape remained still for several tense moments, its eyes reflecting the dim light, making it impossible to tell its size or form. Every instinct told him to stay very quiet, unsure of whether it was watching him or waiting. After a short while, the figure slipped silently behind the bush and vanished into the forest. The rest of the night passed in uneasy quiet, but the memory of those glowing eyes lingered. And if something with eyes like that appeared in the shadows beside you, would you stay and watch or run? After a traveler shared footage from a randonautica exploration near a creepy, abandoned house. The structure had clearly been left untouched for decades. Inside, chains hung from the walls, random objects were scattered across the floor, and an old suitcase sat in the corner, unseemingly forgotten by time. Curiosity got the better of the explorer, who carefully approached the suitcase to see what might be inside. What was revealed was strange and unexpected, adding to the already unsettling atmosphere of the house. Shadows moved strangely across the room, and every creak of the floor made it clear the place had a presence of its own.
Look at this freaking place, man. So I put the bag down. We are on grass. Here's the house right here. Look at that. Look how scary that looks. Let's open it and see what's in there, right? What is that? Why is there a screen in there? This is like a window. Look, this is a window. This is literally a window. What the hell is this? Hold on. That is a screen right there. And that is glass. Yeah, that's weird. Alright. Let's head out. Wow. Look at that. There's a door up there that's open and broken. I didn't even notice that last time. Look at this. Right up there. What a house. Let's bounce out. Say goodbye to this house for good.
The video ends without fully explaining the mysteries of the house, leaving much to the imagination. Even from the safety of the footage, the sense of abandonment and hidden secrets lingers. And after seeing what could be hiding in a forgotten place like that, would you dare to open the next suitcase? Traveler shared footage from a recent family trip. At first, they thought they were seeing a patch of fur lying on the ground. But as they got closer, it became clear that it wasn't just fur. It belonged to something moving, something alive, hidden just out of full view.
Oh my god, do not poke it.
And those just run everywhere? Yeah.
Do not poke
Oh
it.
god.
That is freaking terrifying.
The closer approach made the figure's size and shape more unsettling, yet still difficult to fully make out. Shadows and the dim light of the surroundings added to the eerie feeling, as if the creature was aware of being watched. Every instinct told them to be cautious, but curiosity kept the camera rolling. The footage ends before revealing exactly what it was, leaving only a lingering sense of unease. And after realizing that what seemed harmless at first could be something alive, would you dare to get closer? This terrifying clip was uploaded on Real D's Dark Adventures' TikTok. A man went camping alone deep inside a forest, planning to spend the night surrounded by silence and darkness. Hours passed without incident, until late at night, he stepped outside his tent with a flashlight, slowly scanning the trees. The forest felt unusually still, as if everything had paused. As the beam of light moved forward, it suddenly caught something staring straight back at him. It wasn't moving. It wasn't hiding. The shape was massive, far larger than any animal he could recognize. The eyes reflected the light, locked onto him, unblinking.
It's the same one. That's big, guys. That's big. I'm telling you, if it stands up. That's big. That's big. That's big. I don't know how. That's big. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Nope. That's big, dude. No. Guys, those eyes got like a foot. Okay.
For a moment, neither of them moved, and the distance between them felt dangerously small. Fear took over. He didn't wait to find out what it was or why it was watching him. He backed away, grabbed what he could, and left the campsite immediately, convinced he had wandered somewhere he was never meant to stay. And when something in the forest watches you before you notice it, would you still call it just another camping trip? This terrifying clip was uploaded on History Fuzz's TikTok. A group of people went camping deep inside a remote jungle, exploring the area during daylight before nightfall. As they moved uphill, one of them noticed something strange in the landscape. On the left side, the terrain seemed to form the shape of a massive serpent. Just ahead, the rock formation began to resemble a bird's head. An eye-like hollow, a rounded back of the skull, and what looked eerily like a beak. At first, they laughed it off, thinking it was just imagination. But as they continued moving downhill, the shapes became harder to ignore.
Past the horn-nosed serpent on the left, and the team are just coming upon the bird's head that looks like an eye with a bulbous back of the head and a beak. And that's us now making down towards the back of the caiman. There's the back.
From a higher angle, the formation now looked like the body of a giant caiman. The back, the snout, and a single eye shape were clearly visible, with what appeared to be an open mouth near the bottom of the hill. The camera kept rolling as they passed what looked like horned shapes in the rock, and the mood slowly shifted from curiosity to unease. None of them could explain why the shapes felt so deliberate, almost too perfect to be natural. Some believe it was nothing more than pareidolia, the mind finding patterns where none exist. Others think the jungle was hiding something older, watching quietly as they passed through. And when the land itself starts to look alive, would you keep walking or turn back before night falls? This disturbing clip was uploaded on Neob's Style's Instagram. A few friends went camping deep in a dense forest as night began to fall. Around them, dry leaves littered the ground, and the forest seemed quiet, almost too quiet. They had set up their tents on a small clearing, perched on a little rise, thinking it was a safe spot for the night. Suddenly, the darkness was filled with terrifying, unexplainable sounds. Screams, growls, howls. The friends froze, hearts pounding, unsure if what they were hearing was human, animal, or something far more sinister. Every rustle of leaves and shadow moving in the trees made the fear grow. They had no idea what was approaching, but instinct told them to stay calm and stick together. Rescue teams and researchers might later try to explain these sounds, but for the campers in that forest, there was no time for logic, only survival. Was it just a wild animal, or something truly unknown lurking in the dark? One thing is certain: in the forest at night, every sound can become a nightmare. So, when you head into the woods after dark, would you dare stay if you heard something that shouldn't exist? This scary clip was uploaded on Zach Lake Powell's Instagram. A few boys and girls went camping in the middle of a narrow valley, wedged between two towering mountains. On either side of them were massive cliffs and huge rocks, making the spot look adventurous, but also extremely risky. At first, everything seemed calm. The air was fresh, and the group was excited for their little escape into nature. Suddenly, rain started pouring down from above. Water began rushing down the slopes on both sides of the mountains, quickly filling the valley.
This wasn't the plan.
The group realized the danger and scrambled towards safer, higher ground. In an instant, the narrow valley could have trapped them completely. The sheer speed of the flood left their hearts racing. They barely managed to get out in time. It was a shocking reminder of how powerful and unpredictable nature can be. Even a seemingly peaceful camping spot can turn deadly in seconds. Adventure is thrilling, but survival depends on awareness, quick thinking, and respect for the environment. This encounter proves that sometimes the mountains don't give warnings, and you have to run for your life. So, when you head into the wilderness, are you truly ready for the moment nature strikes without warning? Fahad MK went camping deep in a dense forest during the daytime. The forest was thick and overgrown, full of shadows and hidden corners. Fahad rode his bike into the area, searching for the perfect spot to set up his camp. He climbed a tall tree to scout the location and get a better view of the surrounding area. Suddenly, he heard an unexpected sound below. Looking down, his heart sank. A tiger was hiding in the forest, stalking the very spot he had chosen for camping. Fahad realized immediately that if he went down, the tiger could attack. Fear gripped him as he understood just how close the danger was. That once peaceful forest had turned into a deadly trap in an instant. This encounter left Fahad shaken and with a hard lesson. Sometimes, no matter how carefully you plan, nature's predators can appear without warning. After this, it's unlikely he'll ever camp in that forest again. It's a chilling reminder that in the wild, you're never truly safe. And even a beautiful forest can hide a deadly threat. So, the real question is, would you risk camping knowing a predator could be lying in wait? This scary clip was uploaded on Reed Timmer's Instagram. What starts as an ordinary outdoor adventure quickly turns into a nightmare no one was prepared for. Campers across Tornado Alley set up for the night, unaware that nature was about to unleash its full power. In one chilling moment, storm chasers inside the Dominator 3 intercept a massive tornado as it forms. Instruments record winds reaching an unbelievable 120 miles per hour inside the suction vortex, the exact moment the tornado plants itself on the ground.
Tower power flashes! Touching up right here! Debris in the car! This is somebody's house! We're gonna need to turn around, guys! Direct intercept into the door! Direct intercept into the door!
As night falls, the danger doesn't fade. Instead, it moves closer. A powerful tornado later strikes Valley View, Texas, tearing through the area and proving that Tornado Alley is truly active again. For anyone camping nearby, there's no shelter, no warning strong enough, only the desperate need to escape before it's too late. With meteorologists closely watching the October 20th to 23rd window for the start of the fall severe weather season, one thing is clear: these storms are far from over. Live Dominator mode will return soon, but for campers caught in the open, the real question is, when the sky turns violent with nowhere to hide, would you know how to survive? This terrifying clip was uploaded on Haley_country_mom's Instagram. In this video, we can see a family enjoying a peaceful camping trip near a waterfall in the mountains. The mother is recording a video of their children and the father, capturing their happy moments as they sit together, laughing and having fun. It's a quiet, joyful day. One of those rare moments where everything feels calm, safe, and perfect in the middle of nature. Suddenly, the father notices something unusual. He freezes, then points ahead with his finger. At the same moment, their daughter nervously tells her mother that there's a crocodile on the mountain slope. When they all finally spot it, fear instantly takes over. The crocodile is there, right in front of them, and it looks terrifying. Its mouth is wide open, as if it's ready to attack, giving the impression that it's about to choose one of them as its prey. For a moment, it feels like the crocodile is targeting them, moving as if it intends to strike. The family realizes just how dangerous this place truly is, a reminder that wild animals can appear even in places that seem safe and beautiful. This area, deep within the hills and forest, suddenly feels extremely frightening. And it leaves one unsettling question behind. Were there more crocodiles hiding nearby, watching them all along? This scary clip was uploaded on Ali Golbasti's Instagram. This clip shows a terrifying moment from the Chippersan Valley, where a peaceful camping trip quickly turned into a fight for survival. Campers had settled near the mountains of Yeshkuk, enjoying the silence of nature, unaware that they were standing directly at the epicenter of a powerful force waiting to strike. Without any warning, the ground began to shake violently. A 5.8 magnitude earthquake ripped through the valley, turning the calm campsite into chaos within seconds. Tents trembled, rocks crashed down from nearby slopes, and dust filled the air. Extremely alarming footage captured the moment when campers realized they were in grave danger, scrambling to run as the earth beneath them refused to stay still. Panic spread fast. With no shelter and the mountains surrounding them, every second felt like a gamble between life and death. What began as an adventure instantly became a desperate escape from nature's raw power. And as the shaking slowly faded, one haunting question remained. If the earth can turn deadly without warning, would you know when to run and when it's already too late? On March 15th, 2025, a group of hikers set out to climb Spantik Peak, which rises to 7,027 meters in Pakistan's Karakoram Range. At first, the ascent seemed straightforward, but the thin snow covering much of the mountain made every step uncertain. Patches of exposed earth revealed treacherous terrain, turning each movement into a delicate balance between safety and disaster. The climbers could feel the mountain's quiet unpredictability, knowing that one wrong step could send them sliding down the slope. But the calm didn't last long. Suddenly, a massive boulder perched precariously at the top of a nearby hill began to shift. Slowly at first, then faster, it tumbled downward, scattering smaller stones in every direction. The campers screamed and scrambled, hearts pounding, as the giant rock barreled toward them. What should have been a peaceful adventure had turned into a desperate fight for survival. These chilling encounters remind us that the wilderness is as unforgiving as it is beautiful. From tumbling boulders to slippery mountain slopes, the line between adventure and peril can vanish in an instant. Every trip into the wild carries risk, and every step could be the one that changes everything. So when you head into the mountains, ask yourself, are you ready to survive when nature decides to fight back? This scary clip was uploaded on Guide Toysland's Instagram. A few people went camping on Reynisfjara Black Sand Beach in Iceland. The beach was stunning, covered in black sand, scattered with small rocks, and surrounded by icy cliffs. The waves crashed onto the shore, creating a mesmerizing but powerful scene that seemed almost otherworldly. As one person filmed the scenery, a massive wave suddenly surged toward the group. The force of the ocean threw one of them into the water. In a terrifying instant, the camper was being swept away, struggling against the icy current. Panic set in as the others scrambled, trying to pull their friend to safety. Against all odds, quick thinking and teamwork saved them. But the moment was a chilling reminder of how unpredictable the sea can be. Iceland's nature is breathtaking, but also unforgiving. No photo or video is worth risking your life. Adventure is thrilling, but staying alert, respecting warning signs, and keeping a safe distance can mean the difference between life and death. So when you visit wild beaches like this, would you risk standing too close to nature's power? This terrifying clip was uploaded on Lakrama's Instagram. What seemed like a calm moment suddenly turns intense when a tiger steps onto the road. It moves with calm confidence, glancing at the campers and walking dangerously close along the path, every step powerful and deliberate. The forest falls completely silent, as if the entire wilderness is holding its breath. No birds, no wind, only the presence of the tiger and the frozen visitors. What was meant to be a peaceful camping experience instantly becomes a moment of pure tension, balanced between awe and fear. Long after the tiger passes, its presence lingers in the mind, a reminder of the wild's raw and unpredictable power. If a predator like this can appear so suddenly in daylight, even while camping, would you know whether to stay still or make a move? This incredible clip was uploaded on Puberty's Instagram. Two friends were camping near a river, surrounded by ice and snow during a cold winter day. The riverbanks were frozen, and the world seemed calm and quiet under the low winter sun. They set up their campsite, enjoying the serene, icy landscape, completely unaware of the danger building upstream. Suddenly, they noticed something unusual: a large surge of water coming from the river, carrying chunks of ice with it. The ice dam upstream had given way, and the water, trapped for hours, rushed downstream with incredible force. Sheets of ice cracked and tumbled into the river, creating a powerful, roaring surge. The campers watched in shock as the icy torrent swept along, carrying massive chunks of frozen water that could have easily destroyed anything in its path. It was a chilling reminder of how quickly nature can change. A peaceful river can turn into a dangerous flood in moments, and survival often comes down to awareness and quick action. Adventure is thrilling, but in the wild, you have to respect the forces around you. So, when you camp near icy rivers or streams, would you risk staying when nature decides to unleash its power? This incredible clip was uploaded on Sapavago's Instagram. Someone went camping in a park near a forest in Yosemite National Park, California, on December 26, 2025. The day was calm, with light rain falling, and the campsite felt peaceful. But as they stepped out of their camper, something caught their eye: a beautiful, wild bobcat, quietly moving through the trees nearby. The animal was stunning, but anyone who has spent time in the wilderness knows that wild cats, even small ones like a bobcat, can be dangerous. For a brief moment, the camper and the bobcat crossed paths, standing just feet apart. The tension was high. Every move mattered, but fortunately, neither was harmed. The encounter was unforgettable, a thrilling reminder that in the wild, beauty and danger often come hand in hand. It's moments like these that make you respect the forest. Even on a calm day, the wilderness is unpredictable, and encounters with wildlife can shift from awe-inspiring to dangerous in seconds. So, the real question is, if you came face to face with a wild predator like this, would you stay calm or run for your life? This terrifying clip was uploaded on Imankulit's TikTok and shows a group of friends who went camping in a forest along a mountainside, guided by a local tourist guide. Recent rain had soaked the ground, making every step slippery and tense. As they moved deeper into the forest, one of them, John, suddenly cried out in pain, clutching his eye and calling for help. When the group looked closer, they realized something alive was moving inside his eye. Panic spread instantly. They tried to remove it, but whatever it was refused to come out. John screamed in fear and pain as his friend struggled, unsure of what they were dealing with. After a long and terrifying moment, they finally managed to remove it safely. Relief washed over the group, but the fear stayed with them. If something so small and unexpected can turn a camping trip into a nightmare, would you know how to react? A few people went camping on a beach on a sunny day. The shoreline looked calm and inviting, but the ocean was hiding a dangerous secret. One of them noticed a massive wave approaching from the distance and quickly realized it was no ordinary surf. It was a sneaker wave, the kind that can surge far beyond the normal waterline, pulling everything in its path back into the sea. As the wave barreled toward the campers, they scrambled toward higher ground, filming the unfolding chaos. Another wave came, striking even closer, and two of the group were caught by the sudden surge. Fortunately, a brave companion rushed in to help, pulling them to safety just in time. The rest of the group watched in shock as the ocean displayed its raw, unpredictable power. After the wave retreated, it was unclear if everyone was unharmed, leaving a chilling reminder of the ocean's deadly potential. Calm waters can be deceiving. Sneaker waves strike without warning, faster than anyone can run, and the ocean never asks permission before it turns deadly. Adventure can be breathtaking, but respect for the water and quick thinking can save your life. So the question remains, would you recognize the danger before it's too late? Late at night, the man was walking along the side of an empty road when he noticed something disturbing. A woman repeatedly stabbing a knife into the ground. The moment he began recording, she slowly turned and stared straight at him. Her face stayed hidden in the darkness, but the feeling in the air instantly shifted.
I didn't do anything.
Then, without a sound or warning, she was suddenly standing right beside him. Calm and emotionless, she said she hadn't done anything. He wasn't in a car, yet there was no explanation for how she closed the distance so fast. The clip never shows an attack, but the encounter alone was enough to shake him. A woman, a knife, a silent road, and no one else around. If something like this happens when you're completely alone, who would help you? Or even believe you? And is this why you should never go camping alone? A video claiming to show a duende has taken the internet by storm. In the footage, a woman walks alone along a quiet trail when she suddenly stops and crouches down, as if she senses something nearby. She appears to raise her digital camera, possibly trying to photograph something she can't fully see. As the person filming zooms in, something unnatural happens. A small, shadowy figure suddenly bursts into view, moving at an impossible speed behind her. It runs toward a nearby tree and vanishes in a split second. Moments later, the camera catches the figure again, this time hiding inside a narrow crack in the tree, watching. The woman turns around, but never notices it. The clip spread rapidly online, with many dismissing it as an edit, while others claim it matches ancient stories of duendes, creatures said to live in forests and observe humans from the shadows. The video remains unexplained. If these beings have been hiding in the woods for centuries, what makes us think they've stopped watching us now? A group of friends went deep into the forest to camp, expecting a quiet night. Sometime after midnight, they began scanning the area around them when something strange caught their attention above the trees. Resting on top of a tall tree was a glowing red ball of light. It wasn't flickering, and it didn't move like anything familiar. Shocked but curious, they immediately started recording.
Astaga. Nyala, Bay. Kuyang, Bay. Wush. Wih, kemana itu? Kejar, Bay. Ayo kejar, Rok. Sana tadi dia, Den. Nih, lewat sini tadi. Kesana. Lewat sini tadi dia. Iya. Lewat sini tadi dia. Nih, ke sini. Masuk ke sela-sela itu berarti. Iya kan?
As they watched, the object suddenly dropped straight down from the tree and vanished into the darkness below. Without hesitation, they rushed toward the spot where it fell, determined to see what it was. But when they reached the area, there was nothing. No light, no marks on the ground, no sign that anything had ever been there. The forest was completely silent. And the question is, if they went straight to where it fell and found nothing at all, what exactly did they see glowing in the trees that night? During the daytime, a person was walking along a narrow path deep inside the forest. The trail was steep and uneven, winding between high ridges, and at first, everything seemed normal. Birds chirped faintly, and the sun filtered through the trees, only casting dappled light on the ground. But then, something strange happened. From somewhere along the path, they heard soft, hissing whispers, words that seemed almost directed at them.
Hola. Ay, no mames. Güey, ¿qué pedo? No mames, no mames. A verga. Mira que se oye.
The voice was eerie, almost like it was slipping through the wind itself, repeating sounds that made no sense, yet somehow felt personal. They called out, hoping to find someone, anyone. But the forest stayed silent. A chill ran down their spine. Heart racing, they realized they were completely alone. But the voice persisted. Fear overwhelmed them, and they bolted down the trail as fast as they could, adrenaline taking over, terrified of what might be following or watching. And the question lingers: if the forest can speak to you in whispers, unseen and unheard by anyone else, who or what is really listening? Late at night, a man is running across a narrow wooden bridge, using only a small light to guide his way. The area around him is pitch black, completely surrounded by forest. As he reaches the end of the bridge, he notices something ahead, a dark shape, almost human, moving unnaturally from one side to the other. It doesn't reflect the light. It doesn't make a sound. It just slips across the path like it knows he's there. When he finally reaches that exact spot, the situation becomes even worse. Suddenly, a second shadow appears right beside him. This isn't the shadow of a tree or part of the bridge. There's nothing there that could cast it. At the same time, strange animal-like sounds can be heard in the background, low and unsettling, but echoing through the darkness as if something is watching from the woods. Later, while reviewing the footage, he realizes something terrifying. This time, my eyes didn't see what the camera did. Watching the video back makes his skin crawl, because the shadow is clearer than he remembers, too clear to explain. So if your eyes can miss it, but the camera can't, what do you think was really standing next to him on that bridge? During the daytime, a man took his small board out onto the river to fish. The weather was calm, the water mostly still, and everything felt routine. He stood focused on the water ahead, expecting nothing more than a quiet day on the river. Without warning, the water beside him began to move in a strange way. It wasn't normal ripples or the splash of a fish. The surface churned and shifted unnaturally, as if something large was moving just beneath him. The motion felt deliberate, too strong, too controlled, and it stayed close, circling his board instead of passing by.
Yeah. That was one. I think there's 20 of them.
Nothing ever broke the surface. No animal appeared. No explanation followed. The water slowly settled back into silence, leaving him shaken and confused about what he had just witnessed. And the question is, if nothing surfaced that day, what was powerful enough to move the river so deliberately right beside him? A video has been circulating online, quickly going viral for showing what appear to be two childlike figures moving in the middle of the night. The footage was captured in a desolate field, where two people were walking and suddenly noticed small silhouettes in the darkness ahead.
Ay, no mames. Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Ay, no mames. ¿Qué pedo? Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Son dos niñas. Ven. Niñas. Hey.
The figures remained distant and indistinct, barely visible against the night. Their movements are subtle, almost unnatural, making it hard to tell whether they are alive or something else entirely. The atmosphere feels heavy, silent except for the faint sounds of the night, as if the field itself is holding its breath. The video has sparked countless reactions online. Some viewers insist it's proof of paranormal activity, while others believe it's a clever hoax. But if these figures are real, what could be watching in the darkness when no one else is around? A snowboarder was buried beneath a wall of snow, the silence and weight pressing down like nothing else in the world. Only the tip of the board remained visible, upright like a lonely flag. Beneath it, a single hand reached out, driven purely by instinct. In that razor-thin moment between life and death, the mind narrows. Every thought, every movement, focuses on one single thing that could save you. A pull, a gasp, one breath, and suddenly survival is possible. Later, when the snow settles and the immediate danger passes, the real challenge begins. Shaking and adrenaline slowly fade, leaving space for the mind to catch up. Survivors describe a strange, fierce clarity, a gratitude that's almost painful because it comes from knowing how close the edge really was. This is post-traumatic growth, the slow rebuilding after nearly losing everything, where fear transforms into purpose and appreciation. The memory lingers long after the mountain is calm again. That moment of survival teaches something subtle but profound. In life or death situations, attention sharpens in ways you never imagined, and even the smallest instinct can mean the difference between life and death. And the question is, if your world collapsed around you, what single choice would your mind focus on to save yourself? On August 5th, 2025, Andrew Clifton was walking his dog through the Malvern Hills, casually filming short clips on his iPhone while throwing a frisbee. It was a calm, ordinary day. Nothing felt strange in the moment. The landscape was quiet, the sky looked empty, and the footage seemed like nothing more than a personal memory from a peaceful walk outdoors. Later that evening, while reviewing and editing the clips at home, Clifton noticed something unsettling in one segment, played back in slow motion. Far in the distance, a small object suddenly appears, approaching at an extreme speed. It doesn't move randomly. Instead, it makes a sharp, turn-like maneuver, almost as if adjusting its path before straightening its trajectory and continuing forward. The motion looks precise, controlled, and unlike anything easily explained. What makes the clip disturbing is how difficult the object's velocity is to estimate and how briefly it appears before vanishing from view. There's no sound, no visible source, and no warning, just a fleeting moment caught by chance. And that raises an even darker thought. If that object had been just a little closer, if it had struck him instead of passing by, would anyone have ever known what really hit him that day? While hiking deep in a remote mountain range, the man began to realize something was wrong. The trail he was following wasn't leading toward the structure he had clearly seen on Google Earth. Instead, with every step, it seemed to pull him farther away, into terrain that felt untouched and unnervingly silent. The deeper he went, the more the landscape changed. The path narrowed, the air felt heavier, and the sense of being watched grew stronger. It no longer felt like a simple navigation error. It felt deliberate, like the trail itself was guiding him somewhere he was never meant to find. What waited ahead wasn't the structure he was searching for, but something far more disturbing. A discovery that raised more questions than answers.
Just for here in the trees, I can see a structure. Can you see it? Sat in the rock. But this is when things started to go wrong. The trail began heading in the wrong direction. And I am remote, and that's not what I want. But right now he's friendly and he's leading me down the trail. I just make sure he keeps his distance. It's just a shame. Usually I'm not like this with dogs. I love dogs, but I just don't want to get bitten. He's taking me down to... This looks like a camp. I don't think I should be here.
So if the trail wasn't leading him where he wanted to go, then what was it leading him to? And why? On August 21st, a short trip to Assiniboine Lake led to camping beneath the mountain near the river. A woman left her cats behind in the camper for a quick solo adventure. It was early morning, the sun just beginning to touch the lake, and the forest was quiet, except for the trickle of a nearby stream. She waited a little longer, letting the tent dry, unaware that she wasn't alone. Then she heard it. A heavy step sounded just outside the tent. Her heart skipped a beat. She grabbed her bear spray and froze. Horror movie style, the shadow of a massive grizzly claw appeared on the side of the tent. The bear sniffed and pawed, testing the space. She stayed perfectly still, inching back slowly.
And at that point, I could kind of tell that he was more interested in the tent. They are still in the woods that are, so like tents down there, and they are like in here. And I can hear sticks and stuff cracking every now and again. Bear spray holder. Sleeping bag. You know, we dragged in. See if I can find those shoes.
After what felt like an eternity, the bear wandered back into the woods, leaving her shaken but unharmed. And the question is, if a grizzly can appear silently beside a tent, how close would you be before realizing your life depended on staying calm? A woman named Haley was exploring the Appalachian Mountains, camping by a river during the day. She sat on a big rock, relaxing, smoking, and enjoying the view. She recorded a short video, talking about the mountains and the peaceful moment. Everything felt calm at first, but then she began to feel uneasy, like someone was watching. On camera, she mentioned the air felt heavy and strange. When she rewatched the footage later, she noticed something terrifying. Just as she started feeling uneasy, a faint voice whispered, "Hey," in the background. She hadn't heard it at the time, but it was clearly there in the recording.
I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm fucking cold. I felt like there was somebody behind me, but... Cool.
The feeling of being watched grew stronger, and she kept scanning the surroundings, seeing no one, but the mountains behind her seemed darker, creepier, almost hiding something. The longer she stayed, the heavier the atmosphere became, as if something was standing just out of sight. Haley eventually ended the video and left immediately, saying the whole place suddenly felt wrong, and she didn't feel safe staying any longer. And the question is, if the mountains can watch silently and whisper without being seen, how would you know when to leave before it's too late? A group had set up a fire camp on the roof of an abandoned house late at night. The fire crackled as they talked quietly, when suddenly one of them heard a strange, unnatural sound coming from below. It wasn't an animal, and it didn't sound human either. Something about it felt wrong. Curious and uneasy, the person followed the sound to the edge of the roof and slowly zoomed the camera downward into the darkness. That's when they saw it. A small, childlike figure standing below, staring straight up. Its face looked burned, almost melted, and its eyes were completely white. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, silently watching. The fire behind them continued to crackle, unaware of what was below. If something like that was looking up at them from the dark, how long had it been there before anyone noticed? A young man went deep into the woods for a quiet camping trip, hoping to spend the night alone with nature. Everything seemed peaceful at first, but sometime after midnight, he heard something that didn't belong there. The sound of a child crying. It was faint, distant, but clear enough to freeze him in place. Against his better judgment, he grabbed his camera and followed the sound deeper into the forest, pushing past branches and shadows. As he moved closer, the crying grew louder. Then, through the trees, he saw something disturbing. Behind a thick tree trunk stood a woman with long hair completely covering her face. She wasn't wearing any clothes. In front of her was what looked like a small child, and she appeared to be doing something unnatural, something he couldn't fully understand from where he stood. The air felt heavy, wrong, like he had stepped into something he was never meant to witness. Suddenly, the crying stopped. There was a brief silence, and then only the man's scream echoed through the woods. The camera dropped to the ground, the footage shaking violently before going still. The video ends there. No confirmation of what happened next. No sign of whether he survived. So tell me, if you heard a child crying alone in the middle of the forest at midnight, would you go looking for it? At first, he only took the forest road to get home faster. There was nothing strange about it. He simply started recording because the path was unusually quiet. No cars, no people. Just trees closing in on both sides of the narrow road. But after a few minutes, an uneasy feeling crept in, like something was following just out of sight. When he pointed the camera ahead, a white figure stood motionless between the trees. A pokong, wrapped tight, completely still. He tried to convince himself it was just a shadow, a trick of the light, until from the left side of the frame, something else appeared.
Detik-detik.
Men, tinggi banget ini, men.
Bang Boes.
Di atas permukaan tanah,
Dikejar
cuy.
kun-kun.
Assalamualaikum. Hei! Kamu apa itu di situ diam? Maju sini. Allahu Akbar, astagfirullah. Allah. Permisi. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al qayyum. Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Allahu Akbar, astagfirullahaladzim. Auzu bi kalimatillahi tammati min syarri ma khalaq. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minadh dhalimin. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al qayyum. La ta'khudhu sinatun wa la nawm. Allahu Akbar. Acay.
A woman, floating. Her long black hair covered her face, her body gliding unnaturally above the ground. And then she started chasing him. Not running, not walking, just moving toward him faster than she should have been able to. The video doesn't end because he stopped recording. It ends because the camera falls when he starts running. The screen shakes, the forest spins, and then nothing. So tell me, did you notice the most terrifying part of the clip? One winter night, a man was sitting inside his car on a lonely road beside a forest. Snow had fallen heavily, blanketing the ground in thick, white silence. The engine was off, and the world felt frozen in place. Then he heard it. A long, sad, crying sound, stretching through the darkness. At first it seemed far away, almost beautiful. But as it echoed across the trees, it didn't feel natural. It felt deliberate, like something had noticed him. The howl came again, closer this time. Not just a clean howl, but something strange mixed in. A low growl, a sharp bark, then that drawn-out cry. His breath fogged the windshield as he tried to see through the swirling snow. That's when he realized something unsettling. The sound wasn't moving. It was circling. Slowly. As if whatever was out there wasn't just calling to a pack, but communicating with something unseen in the forest. He locked the doors, heart pounding. The final howl shattered the silence right beside the van, so close it vibrated through the metal frame. But when he forced himself to look outside, there were no tracks in the snow. Nothing at all. Just endless, empty white. In parts of Africa, there is a legend about a spirit called the dust devil. People say it protects the forests and controls the wind. Some believe it is an ancient spirit that can take the shape of an animal, move through the trees, and then disappear into the ground. When it rises, it forms a spinning column of dust, and wherever it goes, it can leave damage behind. One day, a group of tourists were driving near a forest when they saw a strange dust spiral forming ahead of them. At first, it looked like normal wind, but then it began to move in a way that felt almost controlled. Through the dust, some of them thought they saw a dark shape moving inside it. The wind grew stronger, and their voices in the video sounded nervous as they stepped back. The clip ends with the dust swirling, and the group unsure of what they had just seen. Many people say it was just a natural dust vortex, but others wonder, if it was only wind, why did it seem to move with purpose? In the middle of the day, a man walked deep into the forest and suddenly spotted a massive snake coiled tightly around something in the bushes. Its body was unnaturally thick, stretched across the ground like a fallen tree. Without thinking twice, he raised his rifle and fired. The shot echoed through the woods, but the snake didn't die. Instead, it slowly lifted its head and looked straight at him. Its eyes didn't look wild, they looked aware. He fired again. The snake began to uncoil and retreat into the trees. Panic mixed with adrenaline, and he kept shooting, determined not to let it escape. The forest felt strangely silent, almost heavy, as if something unseen was watching. Finally, after several shots, the snake collapsed and stopped moving. But when he stepped closer, his blood ran cold. Whatever the snake had been wrapped around was gone. Nobody. No blood, and just disturbed soil and faint drag marks leading deeper into the forest. The snake hadn't been hunting. It had been restraining something. And now, whatever it was free. Now tell me, if you were standing there, watching that enormous creature in the forest, would you have pulled the trigger? The video opens in complete darkness, deep in the woods at night. a shaky flashlight beam slices through the black, revealing pieces of trees and empty forest floor. The air feels heavy, silent except for nervous breathing behind the camera. Then the light lands on a large, twisted tree trunk, and that's when something becomes visible. Clinging to the bark is a tall, shadowy figure with pale, grayish skin. Its limbs are thin, too thin, long. Sharp fingers dig into the wood as if it's part of the tree itself. The creature doesn't charge, it doesn't scream, it simply holds on, perfectly still, blending into the rough texture of the trunk. The patches of light and shadow almost hide it completely, like it was never meant to be seen unless the beam hit it just right. What makes the moment even more disturbing is that it doesn't try to escape. It stays there, watching, almost camouflaged, almost patient. The video ends with the flashlight still trembling, fixed on the figure that refuses to move. So tell me, if you were alone in those woods and your light revealed something clinging to a tree like that, would you keep shining the beam or slowly turn it off? A man in Medan was sitting outside, sipping his coffee on an ordinary afternoon. The street was quiet, the wind barely moving the leaves. Nothing seemed unusual. Then, his eyes caught a lone figure walking slowly along the roadside. An older man carrying a black bag, moving with a calm, deliberate pace. But something about him was wrong. The upper part of his body, it simply wasn't there. From the angle of the camera, it looked as if his head had vanished into thin air, leaving only a torso moving unnaturally forward. The figure didn't stumble, didn't hesitate. He continued walking, straight and steady, blending into the trees and light around him, as if the world itself was allowing him to exist, only partially. The man filming didn't notice at first, only realizing the chilling impossibility when replaying the footage. The silhouette carried on until it disappeared around the corner, leaving behind only the quiet street and a lingering sense of unease. Locals say this part of the road is rarely used, and some believe that not everything that appears here is entirely of this world. Sometimes, things show themselves, only partially, only long enough to be seen, and then vanish. So tell me, if you were standing there and saw a figure walking without a head, would you approach it or run before it notices you? A family was driving along Old Mill Road, near Pine Hollow Forest in West Virginia, when their headlights caught something standing ahead. A woman dressed in white. Her neck was tilted at an unnatural angle. Long, dark hair clung to her face, and blood stained the front of her dress. For a brief second, she stood perfectly still in the beam of light. Then she moved. She didn't walk. She ran, keeping pace with the car. A family member began recording as panic filled the vehicle. No matter how fast they accelerated, she stayed beside them. Witnesses say her feet never seemed to touch the ground, and when the driver pressed harder on the gas, she turned her head slowly and smiled. The video continues for a few more seconds. No camera drop, no explanation, just her figure gliding behind them in the darkness. Then the clip abruptly ends. The next morning, the family's car was found abandoned near that same stretch of road. The doors were unlocked. Their phones were still inside. The engine was cold. The family was never seen again. Locals say the woman appears only when she's been invited to be seen, and once she follows you, she never stops. So tell me, if you looked in your rearview mirror and saw her still keeping pace, what would you do? This is the terrifying video of Sergei, a Russian hunter who ventured deep into the Siberian forest in search of game. The wilderness stretched endlessly around him, towering trees, frozen ground, and a silence so thick it almost felt alive. He set up for the night expecting nothing more than the usual sounds of the wild. But as darkness settled in, the forest didn't feel empty anymore. At first, it was just distant movement between the trees. Then came unfamiliar noises. Not quite animal, not quite human. Sergei turned on his camera and scanning the darkness with a trembling light. Shadows shifted in ways that didn't match the wind. The deeper he looked into the forest, the more it felt like something was watching him back. What was meant to be a simple hunting trip became the most chilling night of his life. The video ends without clear answers, only heavy breathing, and the sense that the forest holds secrets it doesn't want discovered. So tell me, if you were alone in the depths of Siberia and realized you weren't the only one out there, would you stay or run before it's too late? A chilling video from the Grand Canyon captures how quickly a thrill-seeking decision can spiral out of control.
Oh no. Oh no. Don't look, don't look. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
In the footage, a man climbs past clearly posted safety warnings and steps beyond the protective metal railing. He carefully makes his way onto a narrow rocky ledge, suspended above a massive drop into the canyon below. The view is breathtaking, but dangerously deceptive. Off camera, his friends' voices grow more urgent. What starts as nervous laughter quickly shifts to panic. As the man tries to adjust his footing and stand upright, the loose dirt beneath him suddenly crumbles. In a split second, he loses balance and slips over the edge. The camera jerks violently as screams echo through the canyon, and someone can be heard calling for emergency help. The video ends in chaos, leaving viewers shaken. At extreme heights like this, there is no room for mistakes. One unstable patch of ground is all it takes to turn a risky photo into a life-altering tragedy. Nature doesn't negotiate with overconfidence. So tell me, would you ever cross a safety barrier just for the perfect shot? A man exploring deep in the Amazon jungle claims he stumbled upon something no one had documented before. A strange plant unlike anything he had ever seen. At first, it looked almost beautiful, with bright, unnatural coloring that stood out against the dense green forest. But when he spoke near it, the flowers instantly folded inward, hiding themselves at the mere sound of a human voice. Not touch, not movement, just sound. Scientists later examined the footage and were stunned. Plants reacting to physical contact are common, but one that responds immediately to sound alone? That behavior had never been recorded. Even more disturbing, laboratory analysis reportedly found traces of animal cells within the plant's structure, suggesting it may not be entirely passive. Some researchers believe it could have predatory traits, possibly feeding on living organisms. And those bright colors? They may signal the presence of powerful toxins. Experts are still trying to determine where this plant came from and how its defense mechanism truly works. With only about 15% of the Amazon ever explored, countless species remain hidden in the shadows. But after seeing how this one reacts to a human voice, you have to wonder, if the forest can hear you, what else might be listening? A young man named Defy, living in Eskişehir, Turkey, had taken up fishing as a hobby. Obsessed with a bet to catch the biggest fish, he became determined to prove himself. One night, he set up camp at Çatıran Dam, eager to win the challenge. He even placed a camera at the water's edge to record his success, waiting patiently in the dark. Around midnight, he spotted a fish so large it seemed almost human-sized. Driven by ambition, he jumped into the water, certain he was about to claim the prize. What he encountered was far from ordinary. Instead of a normal fish, OFA came face to face with a humanoid creature unlike anything seen before. Its strange, unnatural form and violent struggle nearly cost him his life. The horrifying moment left him shaken to his core, questioning what really existed in the depths of the dam. After that night, OFA never returned to fishing. He packed up and went home, convinced he had witnessed something supernatural. He even swore off eating fish entirely. So tell me, if you saw something in the water that defied all explanation, would you ever go fishing again? This incredible display of Batesian mimicry features a hawk moth caterpillar that has evolved to look exactly like a snake. By tucking its tiny head away and inflating the rear segments of its body, it reveals large, menacing eye spots that create a remarkably convincing illusion of a dangerous reptile.
Okay, one more time because it is pretty incredible. That's the tail that you're looking at, the one that looks like the head. I'm trying, but until she turns around, that looks like a snake, right? It's not, it's just a caterpillar, but it's made to look like a snake. And this one, more than any other, looks the most like a snake I've ever seen. Guys didn't even believe me. Jesus, look at that head on it, but it's a tail. The head is actually up here. It's so cool, this thing. So good. Thank you for doing that, Leah. Jesus, look at that. Incredible.
Predators, biologically programmed to fear snakes, often hesitate. And that split-second pause can make all the difference. The caterpillar's deception is more than just clever. It's a matter of survival. By imitating a predator rather than trying to fight, it avoids becoming someone else's meal entirely. Nature, in this way, has perfected the art of disguise, turning vulnerability into an extraordinary advantage. So tell me, if you stumbled upon what looked like a snake in the wild only to realize it wasn't, would you be impressed by its trick or terrified? Now, drop a comment with the scariest thing that's ever happened to you outdoors. And if these clips genuinely creeped you out, hit like. Subscribe too, because your story might end up in the next compilation.